Hi, I'm Shay Fregoso, and I'm the daughter half of the mother-daughter design team of A Gilded Life. And I am very excited to be sharing with you a necklace that we're going to do using products from our new Spellbinders line that you can get here at scrapbook.com. We've got some real fun things that we're going to do using bezels and texture plates and some of our fabrics and charms, and I think we should go ahead and get started. So for this project, I want to show you what we're actually going to be using in detail. I've got our Artisan Explorer, which we absolutely love. We use this in our studio almost exclusively. We definitely bring the Grand Caliber in for when we need to do something with a little bit larger footprint, but this is a beast. This machine was made with a mixed media artist in mind. It's a smaller footprint and it's a little bit more portable, but it is a workhorse in that the pressure is so much stronger. It's much more solid in construction for the mixed media artist, jewelry artist, fabric artist, a paper artist that wants to do something a little bit beefier in mind, in that we cut up to about a 28 gauge metal with it. We can cut leather, which we have in the line. We can cut fabrics, even linens and burlap, and I'm sure that you all know how difficult that is. But with the right plate sandwiching and the right accessories, this thing will do it beautifully, seamlessly, without all those pesky hairs that pull your linen apart. So we are a huge fan of the Artisan Explorer. We also have here one of our texture plates from the line. This one I'm absolutely in love with. It's a vintage damask, and you can both emboss and deboss with it depending on which way you want that impression to be made. You can flip your medium upside down to get it to raise up or to be imprinted down in. There's just so many possibilities to be done with this particular texture plate. This is our foil pack. This is an exclusive blend of colors for A Gilded Life. There's a gold, a copper, an ivory, and a bronze. And what's really exciting about this, and I'll show you when we're making the piece, is that you can actually distress it. So to get a lot more texture and depth and just beauty out of your foil. We've got one of our bezels. We've got the heart bezel here. Again, the acrylic cap, you can see that those acrylic caps come in the package. So you are all set and ready to go with this piece. All of our bezels, we've created the dies that go with them, which I think is really handy and really kind of ingenious, if I do say so myself, because when you're trying to cut a fleur-de-lis or a scallop, it's not the easiest to guesstimate what that shape is going to be. But these are just universal. You can use them for anything, and you know, who doesn't love hearts and small shapes, right? We also have one of our relic packs, which are actually cast off of vintage medallions that I have bought on my travels to Europe. Some of them are 200-300 years old, and it's just really sweet to see something that I've prized for such a long time as part of our collection. And then we also have our ephemera pack. Our ephemera pack is really fun because it's both paper and fabrics on the back that we are fond of. So we've got metallic linen, kind of a burlappy linen, a natural color linen material, and then there's also tulle that's both glittered and not glittered, so you can have a lot of fun with these pieces. And you can see here all of the beautiful papers that are in the pack. So it really is a fantastic little assortment to kind of jumpstart your creative project. And lastly, we have this little piece here. This is my go-to for everything that we do because we are trying to get a deeper cut and a more even cut. This is the Spellbinders Metal Shim, and you can get this for the Artisan Explorer. There's an A Gilded Life one that's specifically for our size of dies and texture plates. So this thing will be your go-to. And what I love about it is that even though it may need to be replaced somewhere down the line, it doesn't splinter and it doesn't crack and break on you like some of the acrylic ones do. So this one really is a long-standing product. All right, as we get started here, let me show you what I've done so far. I have my sandwich plates for the Artisan Explorer, and we're gonna switch it up a little bit from the normal paper sandwich because we're adding in our fantastic metal shim, right? So we're gonna use our gray base plate as per usual. We're gonna add in our metal shim. Then we're gonna have our medium, and here I've got a small piece of the foil that I've cut from the foil pack and a small piece of the metallic linen that I've cut from the ephemera pack. So then we're going to put down our dies, and here I've got my large one on the foil and my small one on the linen, and then I'm going to add in the pink embossing plate instead of using the white plate that comes in the kit. You also get these in the box with your Artisan Explorer if you haven't opened one yet, but it's all in there together. The only additional is your metal shim. So now that we have that sandwiched correctly, we're gonna run it through the machine. And it really does go through nicely. It's easier than you expect it to be, but you can feel it when it's hit the medium. All right, so here I've now cut a piece of foil and a piece of linen with absolutely no snaggles on there, no hairs or anything. It cut through cleanly the first time with one go through because of this metal shim here. So I've got both of my pieces cut and ready to move on. So now I'm going to get rid of my metal shim, and I'm going to bring over my embossing plate. So the embossing plate acts like the metal shim. So we're going to do that exact same sandwich again, only instead of the metal shim, we're going to have the embossing plate here, and I'm going to put my piece of foil and a little extra scrap here face down because I want the gold side up. So we are debossing. So we want all of that texture to be upwards. And then I'm going to add in my rubber embossing mat. Again, this comes in the box with the Artisan Explorer. So the rubber embossing mat, which is basically a giant rubber band, but it's awesome for embossing. And again, with our pink plate, so the embossing plate, and we're going to run this through the machine. And I like to give the machine a little bit of extra stability sometimes, and especially on certain surfaces, because I feel like we're doing such a heavy-duty job with it, with the cutting of fabric and metal and the embossing of this foil where we want a really nice deep emboss. So look at what that did. You see all of that beautiful texture in there in that foil. It really gives it a deep, deep embossing of that pretty vintage damask. So then I also have this extra little piece here that we're going to pull out. And I'm going to show you some magic. This might be one of my very favorite aspects of the line. So here I've got my relic, and I've already taken off the loop, the little bail for it. That comes off really easy. I just took my pliers and I put it here with a little bit of pressure and rolled it back, and it came right off. So here's the fun part. We've done our metal, including our foil, where we've flashed a color over a color, so that when you distress it, and this is just a sanding block, a nice fine grit sanding block, so that when you distress it, it shows the undercut color of the metal, and it gives you all that depth and texture. But we've also done that to our bezels, so that when you sand this gold bezel, if you look closely, you can see that it's got that beautiful under bright gold there. So it's really giving you a lot of texture and really making this piece stand out. So you can sand this as much or as little as you want. The more you sand it, the shinier it gets. I am more partial to a vintage look, so I like to leave a bit of that aged look on it. But look at how pretty that is and what a difference it makes in the piece. You see, here it was originally. Still beautiful. You could leave it and not do anything, or you could paint it. You could absolutely paint it and then distress it back and show some of that gold underneath. But I just think that this gives it so much personality. So we're also going to do that with our little charm. And this particular charm here is actually the crest of Notre Dame. And this is one of the ones that I bought at a Paris flea market. Gosh, I think it was on my first wedding anniversary, so 11 years ago. And then we're going to do this little scrap, and I'll show you what we'll do with that in just a second. All right, so now that all of our pieces are all sanded and ready to go, we're going to grab some glue. So as we glue in here, we don't need to get it too much glue, but we want to make sure that it's got nice even coverage. So I'm going to start by placing down my piece of embossed foil, and then we're going to glue our piece of linen, and we're going to try and center that. And then we're going to take our sweet little relic, and it just needs a little dab of glue. It doesn't need a ton. And we're going to set that down in the center too. Then we'll just make sure it's all relatively straight. And then for the bezel cap, what we want to do, it just needs a tiny bit of glue. In fact, I'm trying to catch it when it comes out too fast on my finger because it doesn't need much to hold it down. So we put a tiny bit of glue on the top of the channel, and the bezel caps have a little lip. The lip goes down to create a flush seal. So we take that and we try to get that down as straight as possible so that we're not moving the glue around. So now that bezel is done if you want it to be done. You don't have to do anything else to it. But in the AGL studios, we like to say less is not more, it's less. So we kind of keep going. So what I'm going to do here with that little scrap that we showed you is just give it a little extra personality. So I just want to trim that to fit across the top. So I just measured it with my finger, bend it down. Trim it, put a tiny bit of glue on that. Just place this right across the top. And I think it gives it a really pretty extra finish. Sometimes the glue has to grab before it'll sit down. And we'll just use our pliers to make it sit down. And you've got a really pretty little bezel there that you've made, what, in less than 10 minutes? So to finish it, you could do anything. I mean, this could go on an album, it could go on a card, it could be a tag, it could be a keychain, it could be a necklace, which is what we're going to do with it. And I just want to do something really simple and put a pretty silk ribbon, because I think that this is really more about the bezel than it is about the chain. And because then it leaves my options open to what I want to do with it. So just wind that through, and you've got a finished piece that I think is really, really, really special. Now, could you imagine putting a picture of your grandparents in there, or a special keepsake button, or something from your child, maybe a piece of artwork that your child drew? I think that the possibilities are really endless with a piece like this, and I cannot wait to see what you have done with it. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great one, and remember that all of these products are available on scrapbook.com. Bye.